Sad about all the money I'm wasting right now because I have to keep paying.
Yeah, I went through a bunch of.
We have a company Facebook page. I want to blow it up.
Oh, me too. I got your post this morning. Like, don't forget to get a picture.
Yeah.
So what is going on?
Yeah.
You know what I'm gonna tell them? Yeah, the consumers want free. I want to free too.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? Thanks for being here this morning. We're so excited to have you. This is our third annual Ethics Symposium in our new building at 1010 East Missouri Avenue. For those of you who have been to our 12th Street location, we moved here in February. We're very excited. We are happy to have not only you, but other businesses come and use our facility. And this building is really a business and community center. So if you ever have the need for a meeting space or something that perhaps you need at your business, you can contact us and reserve a space here. We have classrooms available. This room is actually available too. There is a brochure at each desk that explains about it and does give a number. So please take a look, and you can always call in and get more information too. So again, welcome to our Ethics Symposium. My name is Dory Gosar. I'm the Foundation Director here at the Better Business Bureau. The BBB Foundation really supports the mission of the BBB, which is to advance marketplace trust. And we do so with events like this that support ethics in business, and also is a prelude to our Torch Award for Ethics program. We also want to say thank you to Money Radio. Some of you may have noticed downstairs that there were some people, some commotion over where the jersey was for the Coyotes. Money Radio was actually interviewing some of our esteemed panelists here for their Business for Breakfast show. So we're happy about that. We're also live streaming today. The event that you're attending is the live event, and we also have a live streaming YouTube live stream that's going to the outlying areas around the state. So a lot of people are getting the opportunity to be here. A little bit about BBB's foundation. We have a mission as well to promote the importance of business ethics and to provide resources so consumers make better buying decisions. Part of this program, the Ethics Symposium, is our Center for Character Ethics category where it falls. We also have a military line pillar that actually does outreach for military personnel and veterans, provides resources and financial readiness. And we have a savvy consumer pillar that actually appeals to consumers that want to protect themselves against fraud. So today's symposium will be in two parts. First part will be a panelist discussion. So we have our esteemed panelists up here, and we'll be talking with them and seeing what they've incorporated into their workplace for their winning strategies. And then we'll take a break and come back, and our second part will be actual hands-on strategies to apply for a Torch Award. And included in that are actually going to be the links so that you can go to the forums. So some of the goals that we have are tips to communicate values to your leadership team and staff with the panelist discussion, how to implement a strategic plan, how to motivate staff to perform, community engagement, and how you can make ethics a part of your company culture. So again, all of this is from previous Torch Awards for Ethics winning companies, our esteemed panel. And then the second part will be the Torch Awards for Ethics application strategies and goals. Some things you'll be hearing there are tips on how you can nominate a company and how to submit a Torch Awards for Ethics application. What the judges are saying actually are a successful application, an overview of what to expect in the Torch Awards application, and how to improve your Torch Awards submission. So we couldn't be here today without the generous support of our sponsor, the ASU Lincoln Center for Applied Ethics, And with us today is Dr. Jason Robert, and he's going to come up and speak with us just for a few minutes. Jason Robert is the Lincoln Center Chair in Ethics, Director of the ASU Lincoln Center for Applied Ethics, and Senior Ethics Advisor to the University Provost at Arizona State University. This is his 13th year at ASU, and having taught previously in Nova Scotia, Canada. So please, let's welcome our sponsor, Dr. Jason Robert.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to be here. This is, I think, the third year that we've been involved in this symposium, and for us it's been a real terrific opportunity to get to see live in action some of the very profoundly ethical companies that make up our community here in Arizona. I'm going to say just a couple of words about the Lincoln Center and also wear my hat from the university's senior administration. Just to sort of orient us. The Lincoln Center for Applied Ethics is funded by the Lincoln family. You might have heard of the Lincoln Family Y or Lincoln Drive in Paradise Valley. That's the family in question. And the Lincoln Center has been around for about 20 years at ASU. Originally it was in the business school. Then it moved into the philosophy department. Then it moved into the College for Liberal Arts and Sciences, where it sits right now. And the idea was that as it moved, it was meant to expand its influence. So just having it in the business school meant it was just focusing on business, which is an important consideration, but not the only thing at a university the size of ASU. So as we moved into the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, we've become much broader. We have faculty in many of the units on all of the campuses of ASU, actively involved in research, teaching, and outreach designed to help enhance the capacity of all of us to be better than who we merely are at any given moment in time. So it's a constant progress toward a set of ideals that might be unattainable, but if we're not striving for them, we're never ever going to know. The Lincoln family's been a tremendous supporter here in the Valley of many initiatives, and we're very lucky to have their support in the Lincoln Center. From the perspective of the Lincoln Center, we are now based at the new Buse Center for Law and Society in downtown Phoenix. And I'm really glad to be here in this facility, which has a similar kind of function. The idea is that it's meant to be a community meeting place as well as an institution. And so for us, we're very happy. We now have a much higher profile visibility in the Buse Center, and hopefully that will enable us to have that much more impact as we move forward with ASU's downtown campus and with the pretty amazing revitalization of downtown Phoenix. ASU, as some of you know, has a new charter that was approved last year, and the charter reads as follows. ASU is a comprehensive public research university measured not by whom we exclude, but rather by whom we include and how they succeed, advancing research and discovery of public value and assuming fundamental responsibility for the economic, social, cultural, and overall health of the communities it serves. For us, an activity like sponsoring the BBB Ethics Symposium is a perfect instance of how we might be able to play this role embedded in the society in which we are fortunate to thrive. ASU had a task force a few years ago that I co-chaired that focused on the development of core values to underwrite the university. And as we saw just a moment ago, core values are very important in organizations that, or in winning organizations. And so the core values that ASU adopted are respect, responsibility, integrity, and service. And I'm sure in the panel that follows, you're going to see examples of exactly these values at work in the community that we're lucky to be part of. So thanks for having us here. We're grateful for the opportunity to sponsor this, and feel free to reach out to us at any time if there's anything we can do to help build an even better Phoenix and Arizona. Thanks.
Thanks. Thank you, Jason. We appreciate the partnership. All right, so let's get on to our panelists. Wouldn't have a panel without a facilitator. We have a facilitator, Brian J. Burt. Brian J. Burt is a partner with Snell and Wilmer, LLP, and serves as chair of the firm's Emerging Business Group. Founded in 1938, Snell and Wilmer is a full-service business law firm with over 400 attorneys practicing in 9 offices throughout the western United States and Mexico. Brian is a business lawyer advising entrepreneurs and emerging growth companies in all stages of development, from formation to liquidity. He also represents banks, financial service companies, private investors, and venture capital funds. Having previously founded, raised capital for, and run his own company, Brian brings a real-world perspective to his practice. Brian received his BA in Political Science and Philosophy summa cum laude from Allegheny College, where he was class valedictorian and a member of Phi Beta Kappa. He earned his JD from Harvard Law School, where he served as managing editor of the Harvard Law and Public Policy. He has served as director of the Better Business Bureau of Central, Northern, and Western Arizona since 2008. That's us. And currently serves as a member of the Executive Committee, chair of the Board Enrichment Committee, and co-chair of the Education Committee. He previously served as board chair, board vice chair, board treasurer, board secretary, and chair of the Board Finance Committee. He also serves as vice chair and treasurer of the BBB Foundation Board. So he found time today to come in and facilitate our panel, and we're grateful for that. Please welcome Brian J. Burt.
Thanks, Dory. It's a real pleasure to be here at this 3rd annual program. Real honor and privilege to be part of it since the 1st annual. And it's a topic that I think is really critical, and I'm excited to share some time with you today and let you get some wisdom here from the panelists. I'm just here to kind of let them tell you how they run their businesses. And I'll just say a couple of words and we'll jump right into it, and I'll introduce the panelists. In my role, as a legal guy, I get to spend my days kind of dealing with all sorts of situations where people don't behave as nicely as they could, and I see the results of that on a daily basis. And in today's culture, it's pretty popular, particularly kind of since the Great Recession has hit a few years back, for people to kind of view business as a a game where you have to win, you have to kind of beat down the opponent, and in doing so, kind of doing the right thing and being ethical may not be the best strategy to do well for your business. At least that's the mentality out there. And just in the last, I'd say, 2 weeks, I've seen 3 or 4 companies that we've started to work with where partners have decided not to be nice to each other, and we see kind of the carnage that results. So I get, unfortunately or fortunately, the opportunity to kind of help them work through it. And I can tell you, having done this for a long time and certainly been a part of the Better Business Bureau for quite a number of years now, that the winning strategy is to do business ethically. And I always tell people, if you have a choice between having a good contract to govern your business relationships, whether it's with your employees or it's with your vendors, it's with your customers, or having people in those positions that will do the right thing when times get tough, and maybe there's a strain in the relationship. If you have a choice, ideally you do both, of course, but if you have to pick one, always pick doing business with an ethical partner, because that in the end is going to lead to success. So I think really today's theme, and hopefully the message comes out today, is when you do business ethically, it is good for business. A lot of people, unfortunately, in today's world kind of have the view that I don't care about kind of doing good for doing good's sake. What do I get out of it? And we're hoping to, here at the Better Business Bureau, to convince them that it is good to do the right thing just because it's the right thing. But even for those who maybe don't, focus on that message and say, hey, I just really want to know what's good for my business. And if you can convince me that doing business ethically is actually going to make me more money, it's going to create a company culture that is going to generate loyal employees, and it's really going to propel my profits, then again I think that's part of what you're going to hear today. I think it goes together very well, and again it's a message that really doesn't seem to get out in the media as much as it should these days. So without further ado, I'm going to encourage you to listen closely to our panelists. Let me introduce each of them in turn here, and we're going to get through as many questions as we can with the time we have, and we encourage audience questions as well, correct?
Yes.
So if you have a question, what's the policy to do that? Just raise your hand, or?
So the policy, if you would like to ask a question, I think the group that we have here today, we can just raise
your hand. Okay, great. So if you have a question, we'd love to hear from you guys. We have some questions that we kind of pre-prepared, but we'd love to hear kind of your questions as you've navigated these challenges and issues in your business and kind of what you have to bring to the table as well. So feel free to jump in there. Let me introduce our STEAM panel here, and we will get started. So first up, we have Jill Kaur. She is president of Penrose Academy. As president and founder of Penrose Academy, Jill is dedicated to educating and empowering the next generation of professionals. She's a proud member and active supporter of the American Association of Cosmetology Schools and has served on various committees since 2006. With her experience and endless enthusiasm for business and advanced technical education, Jill and Penrose Academy prepare students for extraordinary careers. She began her career in 1993 in the Marketing and Education Division of Nexus Products. She joined the Professional Beauty Association in 1996. In 2006, with her husband Bert, Jill launched Penrose Academy. So welcome, Jill.
Thank you.
Next up, we've got Larry Thornton, who is president of Pritzer's 1 Hour Air Conditioning and Heating and Benjamin Franklin Plumbing. Pritzer's 1 Hour Air Conditioning is a franchise residential heating, cooling, and plumbing home service company. Their customers are strictly residential homeowners, and they do not do construction or work on commercial properties. Pritzer currently operates out of 4 distinct locations in Arizona and a newly opened branch in Henderson, Nevada. Pritzer's 1 Hour Air Conditioning and Heating business philosophy is simple because they focus on 4 things. 1, if it is broken, they fix it. 2, they do maintenance so it won't break. 3, they replace when it has finally reached the end of its useful life. And 4, they make sure the air the customers breathe and water they drink is pure and clean. Pritzer does all of this with a pleasant attitude, doing everything in their power to make sure their customers are satisfied, so they refer family and friends. Next up, we have Kathy Roth. Welcome, Kathy.
Thank you.
She's the co-owner of Kurt's Auto Repair. Kurt's Auto Repair was founded in 1987 by Kurt and Kathy Roth. Their business started as a 2-man, 4-bay shop and has grown to a 10-bay facility with 18 members and owners. Their business has grown every year for the last 29 years due to their ethical culture, so proof that it does work. We're going to hear more about that in a minute. It's important to Kurt's Auto Repair that they treat customers and team members as family. Their trust and vision for the future has made it possible for their employees and their families to commit to their goals. They provide full-service repair and maintenance to our community with high-quality products, award-winning service, and 5 master technicians on staff. It is truly their family serving your family at Kurt's Auto Repair. Last but not least, we have Dave Recchio, owner of Tri-City Transmission. Dave is the owner of Tri-City Transmission in Tempe and one of the hosts of Bumper to Bumper Radio, heard every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. on KTAR. Dave serves on a number of boards, including the BBB's Automotive Repair Advisory Committee and the Automatic Transmission Rebuilders Association. In his spare time, Dave likes to ride mountain bikes and spend time with family and friends. So welcome, Dave. All right, so we're going to get started here, and we've got till about 9:15. So we've got about a little over 45 minutes. So we're going to try to pack in as many questions as possible. So encourage everyone to kind of provide fairly succinct answers. I know you like to really get into it, and you're excited about this, but we'll try to get through as many questions as possible. So I encourage you to do that. And again, we will take questions for the audience if you have some in a moment. So let's jump right into some questions here. I'd like to hear from each of you. We'll just go down the road here in terms of talking about what I teed up a couple minutes ago, and that is tell us a little bit about how that you and your business, and some of you have been in business for quite a long time, realized that ethics were an important component of how you do business daily. So I'll start with you, Jill.
Well, at Penrose Academy, we've been open 10 years, and quite honestly, I think compliance is probably drives, our business. We train hairdressers, medical estheticians, laser technicians, nail techs. So we're in the professional beauty industry, and we, not to get down into the weeds, but we help students with federal financial aid. It's a big responsibility. It's all of our taxpayers' money helping somebody go to school and retrain or train for the first time for a job. So I think before I opened, I was very clear on, the compliance from state, local, regional, federal. That's a layer on your business that you just have to obey. Even if you don't have federal financial aid, right? You have the Department of Labor, you have wage and hour laws, you have lots of people who are making sure you do the right thing in your business. But it just felt so, yes, that's right. The Department of Education is a very difficult friend to have in business. It's like painfully difficult. And I think that I hope that you realize it when you're first hiring. That's probably when I figured it out. Because my first hire, I thought, somebody's going to be talking about my company, my private post-secondary institution on behalf of me. And what do you believe in? And so I'd say from the very beginning, I realized ethics were pretty critical.
Well, it's always good to comply with the law.
Yes.
That's step one.
Says the attorney.
Yes, right. Yeah, I have a lot of you in my business. Yeah,
That's,
exactly.
I think you raise a good, important point, and I just wanted to just briefly mention it. I think it's a good theme for today, is that there is a big difference between doing what's legal and doing what's ethical. And when I was in law school many years ago, we had in our ethics class, it was pretty interesting because we talked about kind of that belief that some lawyers will take, unfortunately, that they're one and the same. If you do what's legal, it must be ethical, and that's kind of the law. And unfortunately, that's, I think we realize, not reality. So it sounds like you've experienced that, and I imagine some of the others on the panel, that just because you can get away with it doesn't mean you should, and doesn't mean that's how you should treat people. So I encourage clients, and I think you probably encourage your employees, and when you're dealing with your customers, that there is a big difference sometimes between the two. And again, just because you can do it doesn't mean that's good for them or good for business. So it's a good point. Larry?
So how do we realize ethics was important?
It's important to your business, correct?
Well, I started out years ago as a mechanic fixing air conditioners, and my boss thought I'd be a good salesman, so I learned how to do sales. And in sales, it was making the customer like you and trust you. And I didn't want to be something that was false. And somebody said something to me once that, treat your customer like it's your grandma, because you'll always be mean. You'll backtalk mom and dad. You just do. But you never backtalk grandma. And you always, take care of grandma. So, as an employee, that's kind of what I started. And then I went from sales to management to doing some consulting. And when I finally got the chance to become an owner of a business, 16 years ago, I came in as a minority partner, and 3 years ago bought my partners out. I always said I want to just have a company that is rock solid. I want to have a company that people look up to, that people go, wow, this is a great place to work, and it's somebody that they're honest, they Bible principles, they just do things right. And so when I got the chance to own the business 3 years ago, I just said we're going to do it. And there's a picture they had of me up there standing in my office when we remodeled the office, where we put the 4 rules of management up. And the first rule is to create a happy work environment, happy employees, and that means dealing honestly with people. Our business is all about relationships and dealing with the people, and my employees have got to trust me, and they got to trust I'm going to take care of the customer. And when we get a complaint or we get a review, good or bad, we read it in front of the company every week, and whenever there's a problem, we tell them how we deal with it, and they can trust that this is a company. And so it just helps my employees do better. And when I first realized, years and years and years and years ago.
That could be the takeaway of the morning, be nice to grandma. But
be nice to grandma.
Larry was nice to his parents as well. So
Not
Be
true.
nice to grandma. Well, I can say from the beginning we had a vision to create a company that was fair to our customers, and that was we started off with this small little mission statement that we've added to and added to it over time. But I commonly think when it comes to ethics, what John Maxwell said, you can't have business ethics without having personal ethics.
Mm-hmm.
And once you have that personal ethical base to work off, then you can go about it. And one customer stopped me in the front office recently, and this was a great honor for me to hear. She goes, I just want to tell you, you people are authentic, and that's what I like about you. It was that was a huge compliment for us, because we just want to be there for their needs, whether they're a vendor, an employee, or a customer. Those are all important points where we've got to keep our integrity, and they're all a part of our community. So it's really important that we are honest with them, and they feel like they can trust us, and we will be there for them, and they'll be there for us. And they certainly were when we burnt down in 2013. It was our clientele, our suppliers, our church that was the ones that were right there for us as our support group.
Sure, that's great. I think that authentic theme is pretty critical. I mean, if how many people have we, or businesses we frequent, where you think they're doing the right thing and you find out they're not, and how quickly does it take for you to change direction and not come back again? And I think that sounds like that's what's been making people come back for all these years. People know you're going to stand behind what you say you're going to do. Okay.
I don't have a daughter, but if I did, I'd name her Grandma. So, this is my daughter, Grandma. You better treat her with respect.
Oh my God. Thank you.
Oh boy.
For us,
That may
it's
be
just,
the new takeaway.
for us, it's just a matter of treating customers and employees, everyone's family. You know, so we're consistently asking questions in the shop. Well, this is your mother's car. How would you handle it? You know, if this was your sister's car, how would you handle it? So we just ask that question, and we don't see people as you're the consumer, I'm the business. You know, and we believe in a win-win situation. If I'm pulling one over on you, that's not fair. If you're pulling one over on me, that's not fair. So I think business can get lost in the fact that consumers abuse businesses just as much as it goes both ways. So we're looking for customers who want a fair deal too. So we're just looking for fair. That's important. And then the other thing that I think being unethical creates stress. And my life is all about not having stress. So if I got to come in and I got to keep up with lies, I don't want to do it. I'd rather go do something else. So yeah, so peace and no stress. So, yeah.
Next question for the group, and we'll start with you this time, and we'll go back in the other direction. So get ready. So you have a son. What did you name him? That wasn't the question, but so talk a little bit about the beginning. We've heard from the panel so far in terms of, you know, it sounds like doing the right thing is good for business, but maybe talk about a situation, because I'm sure everyone's thinking this. Hey, I bet there's probably a time, maybe a number of times in your business where you had to make a call that was the right thing to do, but maybe it cost you an employee or cost you mentioned a customer. You want the customers to be good to you. So maybe think of a particular time when you said, you know what, this may cost me money, or it may cost me a key employee, or whatever. Maybe it cost me a business partner, but in the long run, it's worth it to kind of do what we say we're going to do, that authenticity that Kathy mentioned. And we made the right choice. It was painful in the short term, but in the long term, we've confirmed it's the right thing to do.
I wouldn't say, you know, in the long run even to really consider, because right and wrong has nothing to do with, I think, in the sense that how is this going to affect me down the road? It's right or wrong, you know, that kind of thing. And that's not black and white. So I mean, you really got to kind of work through the gray to come to what the right answer is, and you have to collect input to do that. But I've had situations where you know, people badmouth you or say something wrong or whatever it is, and you just got to take the high road and just not get into the mud with them. And human nature is one to defend yourself and make yourself right, prove them wrong. And so just to get out of that, not feel like you have to do that. So I think that's a decision, even with reviews, when we get bad reviews on our business, is that we can get in the mud, or we can just acknowledge it and wish them the best and sorry this wasn't a good situation, and move on. So I think that's been something. But as far as how's it going to affect me in the long run, yeah, I think taking the high road in the long run will work out. You know, it'll be good for your business, but not thinking about it like that necessarily. I think that's a little bit of a genuine piece.
Yeah.
Well, in our type of work, and I guess in any service industry, you can have people that expect way more, or we should have done something. But Dave's on the ARC, which is a panel here at BBB that regulates complaints coming in with the professionals. And sometimes there really isn't a bona fide black and white to a situation. And so sometimes really we have to take the upper hand and say, you know what, we'll pay for the part. Whether we broker it or not, we'll pay for the part. And sometimes you will not still keep that customer. But what we're looking for in business, the same thing the consumer's looking for. They're looking for a good shop to work with, that they can build a relationship. And a good customer, that's what we're looking for. And then we're looking for one that we can build a relationship. And we've got to be able to communicate on some kind of level that's going to work for both of us. We're trying to provide professional auto repair and be honest and genuine and give them everything they have and communicate. Sometimes we fall short. Sometimes we didn't make it, or they didn't give us all the information, or we have a defective part. Probably never happens in your industry. And so we'll take the high road. And one particular really wonderful example we put in our entry, we had a gentleman that he didn't like his air conditioning, the degrees that coming out this dash after we had worked on it. It was 2 degrees off. Now, I might be off on that, might be 3. So he filed a complaint with the BBB. So when we hear about it, so we contact him and everything, we work on it again, we get him down, and he's all happy. Well, to this day, he still is our customer. And he recanted his complaint with the BBB, and he was an honorable man, that he took the time to recant that. And we told him how much we appreciated it, and he's still our long-term customer. So it can have a problem and still be resolved and still have a long-term relationship. And to this day, he's still a current customer, and everybody's happy.
Excellent.
What was the question?
Question was
a time we had to use ethics, and it was hard.
a time when maybe there was a kind of short-term loss or consequence, but you knew it was the right thing to do, so you did it anyway. And
well, in my business, okay, so we're an air conditioning company, and so we're just now coming off of the oh my gosh, it's summertime. I mean, we'll run so many appointments in the summertime. My guys are, starting at 7 o'clock in the morning, getting home at midnight, and then they're hot, and they're out in the heat all day, and they're hot, and the phones just never stop ringing. And I remember a few years ago on a Memorial Day, Monday, or Tuesday, the day after Memorial Day, and we're doing our company-wide meeting, and we're pulling drug tests today. We're just going to do drug tests. We probably shouldn't, but we're doing drug tests today, and I had 2 guys fail, and I had to let them go because we have a no tolerance policy, and it's the day after Memorial Day. It's hot. We got a jillion calls on the board, and we just had to take 2 guys' workload away and distribute it among all the other employees. And but that's how we have to be. We have a zero tolerance. Just last week, it's customers are hard enough to get people to call our business, but to get employees that will work in the business, that will pass the drug test, the background check, that'll be clean cut, that will actually come to work, when we ask them to come to work and all those things. We did training last week. We hired 2 guys. We drug tested them. They passed. They start getting wonky during orientation. We say, we're going to drug test them again. And they both failed. We spent 4 days training these guys.
That's a good word.
Yeah, that's not the word I wanted to use, but we have to do the right thing because what we do, we come to your house. We send, and right now all of my field guys are males. I've had females in the past, but we're sending somebody into your house. Our average customer is a woman over the age of 50. We want her to feel comfortable, that he's clean cut, that he's not going to rob her, and we got to make her feel comfortable. And we owe that to our customers. And I look at so much of the other people that do this type of a thing out there, and their guys are dressed like hoodlums, and they drive in trucks that look like not nice, and I don't want that person when my wife is home, or when my grandma is no longer here. But it's important that we take care of customers, and we got to do the hard things sometimes, and that's thinking drug tests.
So you're recruiting as well with those 18-hour days, right?
Oh my gosh, it's hard in the summertime. Yeah, it's almost over. We'll be like February going, well, what do we do now? Yeah.
Good deal. Good deal. Joe?
I think that a couple things. For my business, I have 25 employees, and I have 200 students. So my customer is my student, and my employee also. So there's sort of 2 audiences. I I mean, obviously from an HR standpoint, I treat them very differently, but I don't know if this is the right answer to the question. I just have to kind of play off. I think that there's so many gray areas, and I don't want to believe that. I want to say it's black and white. It's not. And I've learned that maybe more than a specific situation, because we've had to kick out we've had to terminate 2 students 7 years ago for cheating. And the mom of a 19-year-old called me and said, my daughter wasn't cheating. She was giving the answers. So she had the answers. That's not cheating. She wasn't taking the answers. She's smart. And I was like, have you lost your mind? Like, what are you teaching? What happened the first 18 years? Because that didn't get through. Okay. So we had to kick them both. So I went on, like, Harvard. I was like, academic dishonesty. I pulled up Harvard's policy compared to ours. And I was like, ma'am, Harvard and I have the same policy. Your daughter's gone. Like, it's over. So side note, I have 2 sons and a husband, but I have 200 daughters. And I know this daughter thing.
They're not all named grandma.
Yeah, they're not named grandma, although some of them are, lots of them are retraining. It's a very complicated environment. So I have 2 thoughts on it. One, I really like transparency. And I think the 24-hour rule really drives our business with the students and the staff. Like, if something's not right, please don't tell me in 6 weeks that I've, made you sad, because in 6 weeks I'll barely remember what I had for breakfast, and you're going to tell me about what I said in a meeting. Like, come on, just talk to me right away when something's not working. Second, no man has ever held me back in my career, ever. It's women. Women in the workplace are ornery, and they're clever. And I am training a workforce of women, and even just yesterday, I said to the whole student body, we gather every Thursday morning. Sorry, am I going too long? I'm going to wrap this up really quick. So every Thursday morning, I basically gather them for business training, and I stand up there, and there were a lot of people misbehaving, and it's not my 18-year-olds. It's a lot of my 35, 36-year-olds, and I just think women deserve better than that in the workplace. Men deserve better than that. We are human beings, and the way these women are treating the women, so I was like, I'm going to terminate anybody who has, this is no eye-rolling Thursday. And they were all like, what? I'm like, we're done eye-rolling. We're done saying RBF. Does everybody know what RBF is? It's a horrible term in the world. It's awful. So one of my students thought it was a disease. It's resting, naughty word, face.
Oh.
That women under 40 often refer to. Like, well, I have RBF. If they want to talk to me, they can. I'm like, no, you don't have RBF. You're just mean, and you forget to smile. Like, that's not everybody else's problem. That's your problem. So remind your face that you're happy, or you're never going to work in this industry, right? It's customers. I'm training them to take care of another human being, like to physically touch them, right? That's what dental hygienists, doctors, massage therapists, there's not a lot of people who have a license to touch another human being. And so I was really in their face about how you behave. And so that's my one point. Collectively, I think it's everyone's ethical responsibility to wake up in the morning and say, I don't think you'll wake up saying I'm going to do a bad job. I think they do wake up saying I'm going to do the best, but everybody's got to bring their best. And this, like, DDD, we call it deny, defend, deflect. If I step away from my students for a minute, I talk to my staff. We've trained it so well that right now, if Larry and I work together, and I was like, hey, Larry, what happened in that class? You didn't roll that lesson plan out properly. And he was like, well, that wasn't my fault. It was wrong in the PowerPoint. That'd be one of the Ds, right? Defending. I'm telling you why I did it wrong. And now my staff will say things like, okay, you're DDDing. When you're over that, why don't you come find me and we talk about why that went wrong? Like, that's where I feel like I hit success, when my team is executing it. And then last thing, we coach privately and we praise publicly. So ethics, I think, happen every day. There's these weird little moments of things happening, and if I'm not on them right away, so if it's sensitive, I'll be like, Dory, can we talk, in another room? If it's great, I'll be like, hey, Kathy, you're amazing, and I'm going to tell it in front of everybody because I want everybody to hear it. And I find that students, one last thing. We were talking about it earlier about what people care about and what people don't when it comes to ethics. I think millennials do. And I have 86% of my students are millennials, and 81% of my staff is a millennial. And I'm not a millennial. And I have had to navigate this really, really thoroughly. And they care about the environment, they care about sustainability, they care about their grandma, they care about their mom. They care about things, and if you get them in front of you and you say, do you know what you just said out loud in front of, like I had a student, there's so many things I have to say, and I can't say them all right now. Sorry. Okay. So my point is that I think you have to say it out loud and talk about it right when it happens and not wait.
All right. Thank you. Any questions from the audience before we go on? Anyone want to jump in there? Don't be shy.
This might for the panel and also you. We're in the middle of writing some policy with the advent of social media. How can you write policy that somewhat controls what employees do on social media, because we still want our employees to remain professional, and we know that some of our clients have already been on Facebook and have contacted us saying, do you know your employee did this on their Facebook page? Oh. So legally, we don't want to violate anybody's constitutional rights, but morally and ethically, we don't want them to post a picture on Facebook that is unethical, unprofessional, and just not within the realms of what kind of business atmosphere we're trying to create. So we're looking for a direction in writing policy and how we can incorporate all of that into our policy, because our employees range from millennials to 60 plus. So if there's any ideas, I'd like to hear them.
That's a good question. It's not my area of expertise, so I can't give you the kind of legal nuances on that, but I know it's a challenge. I mean, we used to see, for example, a lot of people who would get hired by the firm, and you check their Facebook page, you check the social media, you see all kinds of
We do check it now before we hire them, but
there's certain rules that are evolving around that. But yeah, I'll maybe open up to the panel, since I can't give you the definitive legal side. I can talk to you offline maybe, but maybe take a couple of you. Larry, maybe have you dealt with that issue at all?
I've been taking pictures because I'm going to be posting a lot of this on our company Facebook page. For the company Facebook, very select people are limited to administrators to be able to post on there. Okay. And if you're in there dogging my company, you're gone, I delete you, because I control that image. But I just made a note, do we have a Facebook social media policy? I know I have a policy on my data, because all my employees have iPads, and they can't, they got to control that, but I'm not sure if I have a policy. It's all about image, when they come to work, their uniform's got to be tucked in, they've got to have their gig line straight, they got to shave. They're representing our company.
Yeah, I think you're asking, so if I went, I don't know what your business is, but if I was your customer and I met one of your employees and their name's, Julie Smith, and then that night I decide I want to friend Julie Smith because I really love meeting her, and then Julie Smith is doing something inappropriate or offensive in my world, then I call you and I say, wow, Julie Smith's doing some stuff that you don't want. So I have a policy that I wrote for my staff. I'm happy to email it to you later. I'll give you my card. It's a little different for academia maybe, but one quick thing, I have a really strict policy between my faculty and staff and my students, which I think could be reflected in yours. You could say we just say no, you can't fraternize with students and you can't do the social media stuff until they're graduated, because it affects academic performance, right? If they like somebody better, or they go out or hang out. So we have a no fraternization with customers until they graduate. So you could put in something that indicates no fraternization, but you might want it if there's some people doing it properly. So I'll send you what I have.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else dealt with this issue? I think the question is really on the personal side, and it's an evolving area, so it's kind of challenging. But there are people who, and we're seeing it, in the political arena these days. I mean, we're seeing all sorts of things where people are posting all sorts of fun stuff, and people reacting to it. And the question of what's appropriate, in all sorts of different contexts. I don't know, Kathy, you or Dave, have any policies or have dealt with the issue at all?
I always got something to say. I've heard that before. But I think if they're posting things like that, I think there's something else missing. Why are they working for you? If it's something that's bad enough to, those are the cues that we got to pick up in the hiring process. Is this a person that is going to represent the company well? Because whether it's Facebook or not, if it's them partying at the bar, oh, that's the guy that works over at such and such. So it's the kind of characters that we let into our business. So I don't know if you can get that in a policy. I mean, I'm taking a note to myself that I have to add something to my manual.
The person I was talking about no longer works for us, so that's good. We're trying to be proactive about this because
Are they dogging your company? Is that the problem?
No, they're just as an example, the person that no longer works for us was obviously had a lot to drink and made some very rude gestures with their hands and then posted that on their personal Facebook.
All right, we control that.
Yeah, there's certainly the ability, and again, without getting into all the legal details, there's an ability to create policies that do govern those things. It's an evolving area, but there are things. So to the extent folks are interested, happy to chat with you offline and connect you with that resource we have. But yeah, it's an important thing because it only takes one person posting something associated with your company to kind of destroy years of reputation that you've built up if they think that they're speaking for you or that's the kind of employee they're going to get serviced by.
Yes.
It doesn't take much to do a lot of damage. So yeah, there are things to do. There's people who are challenging that, saying, hey, we have the right to say whatever we want, but yeah, you can say that when you're not employed by me. So there is some protection, and the good news is that Arizona, for those who've been doing business here a while, is business friendly. There's some states that are not as business friendly, maybe the Republic of California to the west, but Arizona is still a very business friendly place. So there are things you can do to protect yourself in that, and you should be able to. I mean, it's just common sense. So encourage you to kind of look into that and put in place some proactive stuff. Is there another question I saw?
Yeah. I just wanted to add, since I'm always looking at social media, Instagram, I'm a millennial myself. Social media in terms of Facebook, Instagram is considered public. So once they're employed by you, you can literally restrict what they post. A lot of people don't know that, but Facebook, Instagram, all that is considered public entity except for Twitter. Yeah, it's not private information. So you can read on the Facebook policy. A lot of people do not. They just post things and go crazy. But what they don't know is that anyone has access to that information, whether it's a lawyer, the government, an employer. You can literally request information via Facebook of a history of more than 10 years. So,
yeah, hitting on the front end is a good strategy. I mean, seeing as part of your vetting process, you think about missing drug testing and other things. Kind of getting a good read for your employees before you even bring them in the companies is the best way to avoid surprises later. It's no different than you're talking with some of the panelists before we started here about vetting customers, which can be equally important. I think you mentioned in terms of you want to do business with customers who are good, and sometimes they're not so good, and that's, I think, important. We often say, hey, we'll take any customer as long as they're paying us, and that may not be a good fit. So I know we've got at the firm kind of a policy to determine, are people going to be a good fit? Are they going to, obviously listen to what you're talking about, do things obviously legally? We can't, engage customers who aren't doing that, but just really going to be a good fit with kind of our culture, which is, very high standards. And I think that's something that you need to factor in as well. You may not be able to take everybody. You may lose that piece of business, but probably at the end of the day, it's worth it. Any other audience questions at this point? Let me ask another question for our panel here. In terms of trying to encourage your staff to do the right thing, maybe tell me if you've implemented some type of strategy or reward or incentive when people do the right thing, make the right choices, or maybe another way to put it, kind of things that you do to empower them to do the right thing. So maybe talk a little bit about a strategy or two that you use with your employees to encourage them to kind of perpetuate the culture that you've all talked about having at your company. So maybe we'll start down at the end.
I do a lot of spot bonuses for that kind of thing. It was part of my application. I had a customer who wrote a nice letter about one of my employees that did something that was above and beyond, and he went out of his way, and that guy gets a spot bonus. It's not part of any pay structure, but it's just a, hey, attaboy kind of thing. So that's a big one. And then when I see an employee make a choice where it would have been easier for them not to say anything, let's say they made a mistake, and they owned it and brought it to my attention, I really am thankful for that, and in some way that reflects in the way I'm treated. Or there's a lot of attaboys given because it wasn't an easy choice, but they were willing to do that. So we definitely prize that. And those letters that come from customers, we'll read them to the whole staff and make a big deal and hoopla about it.
Excellent. Anybody else that employs a strategy or two to help encourage and promote that behavior within the company?
I think what she said, publicly praising. Every Wednesday is our company-wide. You have yours on Thursday, we have ours on Wednesday, and we once a month, the third Wednesday of the month, we always read all the reviews. And we also, our franchise uses something called an NPS, Net Promoter Score, where we send a survey to all of our customers asking one question: would you refer us to a friend or family member? And we read those, and all the good, all the medium, and all the bad. But when it's the bad, we just leave the name out, just talk about the situation, and constantly just remind them this is what we expect. And we'll do, if we get a certain number of reviews, we'll do a barbecue, we'll cook breakfast. Spot bonus once in a while, maybe a little gift card to Starbucks or something like that. But more just praise and just reminding them this is what we expect, this is who we are. And I'm trying to be very transparent with my employees. They know who I am, they know what I'm about, and this is what I expect. And we tout that trophy. That's a big thing for us.
Sure. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So, anyone else in terms of tactics?
We do bonus programs for the group and individual excellence. And whenever there's, I do the customer, basically the new customer visits. And so when a customer definitely names one of our guys, either one of the guys in the bays or one of the front office staff, then I post in the shop each week responses from customers. Because a lot of times, if you're the tech that worked on that particular vehicle, you don't know that the customer said anything nice about how great it's running or anything if he just tells the front office staff. So we post it in the bays. This is the car, this is a technician that worked on it, this is the comments from the customer, and that way, you can say, hey, I did that. That lady is so happy. So, I mean, she may not know the technician's name, but we do.
Sure.
We know who worked on it. And if we get a particular person that's just telling how outstanding one of our guys are, we do something, whatever is appropriate for that individual. They might be at a spot in life where the gift card is the perfect thing, or an open gift card is the perfect thing, or a cash spot bonus, or something like that might be the right thing at hand at that moment.
Sure.
We have some compliance issues where the government doesn't allow specific departments so admissions can't be bonused. And there's some very specific rules, and it's good. It's because you don't want to be enrolling students and promising them or over-promising them something.
Sure.
So for us, in the compliance sense, we have profit sharing and 401k, and we can do small things that are more team building wise, but we have to be a little more
restrictive. Sure. Well, it sounds like, I think everyone has said that it doesn't cost a lot to promote these things. And one of the things I heard, and I'd be curious in terms of what the audience does, is really just letting people know they're doing the right thing and encouraging that culture. I think that's the challenge. Everyone's so busy and there's so much going on that you forget how powerful it can be just to let someone know that, hey, they did a good job, or they made the right choice, or they owned the issue. Just that alone, I love to see that when that happens at our place, because it doesn't happen as often. But people saying, yeah, I made that mistake or did that. Everyone wants to kind of be perfect. And you're not always perfect. You make mistakes. Customers have complaints. Mm-hmm. Everyone's probably had a BBB complaint or two on the panel here, and yet still you've been award winners. So it really, you got to own that. And I think encouraging the employees to step up and do that really creates a culture of accountability and that authenticity you spoke of. So, but the theme, it just it really doesn't cost a lot. So that's a question as well. Am I going to have to spend a lot of time, money, and effort putting in place policies, giving awards? And it doesn't seem to be the case. Let me ask, we've got about 15 minutes left, so we're going to kind of work through some other questions before we wrap up here. Any other audience questions or comments at this point? Okay.
Hi. My question is, in the realm of how are you using your attorneys, basically, when you're creating these policies and proactively getting counsel as you're making all these decisions in the realm of compliance and ethics and how to make sure things are legal as well as the right thing to do, often consulting with them. those decisions?
I didn't ask her to say that.
That's
a great question.
No.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I spent quite a bit of money on my employment manual. It was all the things I believed already. I put it together, and then they put all the legalese between there. But it had a lot to do with my personality. But I definitely did that. Every employee, when I hire, get that employment manual. Sometimes before I hire them, I give it to them just to see if there's anything in there they don't like. But yeah, definitely, it was worthwhile to spend the money to have that done. And it's those principles that we all know in the back of our mind that we live by.
Anybody else in terms of their?
I'm friends with my attorney on Facebook.
I guess that's what counts.
Yeah. My attorney, I used him when I purchased the company, and I've used him for a couple of minor things, but I own a franchise, and so the franchisor has given me a lot of stuff to make sure we're compliant. So we actually have an employee manual with all those rules, and I know we have something on there about social media, but I'm not sure how clear it is. We have a safety manual put together by the franchise, and we have a technology manual also, because everybody has iPads and iPhones, and also we use a lot of text messages because we're so spread out to communicate the good stuff too. But,
you're able to piggyback off the franchisor, so that,
I got a lot of
sense,
help with that.
Are you new? Have you opened? Are you a new business existing, been around forever?
I'm an existing business, or existing business, but I'm curious. I work with a lot of business owners, and I'm always curious how often they're using their attorneys for help with certain things like this. And I find oftentimes they're not using them as much as they need to, and they're making decisions without them. So, Googling and asking their friends and business owners questions. So I'm just curious, from your perspective, with the success that you've had, how often are you actually consulting them with these decisions that you're making?
In the beginning, for me, they were like on speed dial. I feel like I was constantly, like they were in my favorites right under my husband. That being said, now we definitely do an annual review. We have a compliance audit and a financial audit that we go through. So I'd say that beyond the annual, I think what happens is my brain kind of gets lit on fire with the situation happening. And I budget heavily for my attorneys because I I just called one yesterday and I said, I have this situation, this is what's going on. It was about Mean Girls. I said, can I kick someone out? I picked up a phone call. So I don't know if that, so I would say that's not the place to skimp, even though my lawyer is very expensive. But I always do that thing, like I'd rather spend, $7,000 now and get all the data. But I agree with Dave. It definitely, it paid a lot to. I see the exact same thing you say. I see other cosmetology school owners kind of quoting things off as if Google is the attorney, and there's a lot of erroneous information, and that's where the investment is really valid. So
you just mentioned the key word, kind of investment. I mean, I spend all my days working with kind of entrepreneurial companies, so people in the room who own small companies. I work with you types of individuals, and I can tell you from doing it for a long time, it is exponentially cheaper to get it done right on the front end and to keep doing it right than to have to visit one of our 100 litigators downtown when something goes wrong or you violate an employment rule or whatever it is. It is so much better to get a foundation, make that investment. I love that word, even though you said it's expensive. Make that investment as opposed to viewing it as a cost, because you will get sued. An employee will have an issue. A customer is going to do. It's going to happen. If you're in business long enough, it will take place, and you want to be protected as best you can. And I see things every day where, to your point, people pull things off the internet. They do. I mean, we're not that bad to talk to, but people pull things. They borrow something from a friend, and it's just absolutely wrong information. They've got employees signed up to things that aren't enforceable or frankly illegal in some cases, and they think they saved a couple of bucks, and they find out that the Department of Labor comes in and does an audit, and now there's a $50,000 fine when you could have spent maybe $1,000 to get it done the right way. So really, like in anything, we're talking about building your ethical foundation. Mm-hmm. Same thing goes with building your foundation in these other categories. So legal is one that I think you find a lawyer who's a good fit. who's reasonably priced, plenty of those, and really is going to look out for you on a proactive basis. And if you don't want to do that, our litigators still have to feed their kids, so we're happy to chat with you when it doesn't go well.
And one thought on that, I have 3 attorneys because one knows education. That knows the Department of Education, and when I had to go up against the Department of Education, I needed him in my back pocket. And then I have another one that's much more wage and hour, and then I have a local one. Like, I have a lot of them, but so maybe if you already know that, it sounds like you're actually preaching that you're smarter than we are. But you know this already. I guess don't be afraid of having more than one, because I don't know if that's offensive to you.
Not
but
everybody is an expert in every field. So
it's like a doctor. There's like your different ones. So that really has helped me, and I know. And now my team will say things like, "Are you going to call the lawyer?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, $750 an hour, and I'm like, "No, not that one." And they're like, "Okay." They're trying to assess. Is that the right thing we should do, Jill? And I'm like, "Yeah, no, we're not calling that one. We're going to call a different one."
I'm a lot cheaper.
Yeah, okay, good. We're still calling you. Yeah.
That's an expensive lawyer, but those are good answers. I mean, I think that's, again, the legal should be the minimum line, but it shouldn't be where you strive for. But if you don't have a foundation, it's gonna come back to bite you, and I just see it, unfortunately, every day. I'd rather see you guys use that money to build your business. We've got about 10 minutes left, so we're going to kind of do a little speed round, kind of go through some questions, just like to get your quick answers on that. Before we do that, are there any other questions from the audience that we want to throw out there? Okay. All right, so talk about what it's meant to you you're obviously all Torch Award winners over the past 2 years, right? We got 2015, 2016, so within the last couple of years here. Talk about what, concisely, what that has meant to your business in terms of winning that. People, look at the Better Business Bureau. It's been around for a long time. There's a lot of other, services out there where you get ratings and they can continue to proliferate. But what does it mean to have won the Torch Award for your business, and how do you promote it, within your company, both to employees and customers? Start with you, Dan.
I think the guys are all proud of it because they know it's right on our front counter with a little picture, and they feel good about what they work because it really acknowledges what we do every day. All those times we made the right decision on something that we don't really think about, it's like a feather in their cap. They're very proud of it. So
sure. That's
a big deal. And then I told them, I said, "No, we got that. I'm easily amused but never satisfied. We got to go get something else."
Good deal.
It's a great honor. It is a responsibility to maintain what got us there on a daily basis. And I think it made us all feel like we are a team. Now we have something that really, we have big banners across our bay. 2013 finalists, and the other bay says 2015 and 15 winner. So, because we're proud to say that we're a part of a foundation that promotes honesty, integrity, being fair to the customer, being fair to everybody we're working with, and also giving back to our community. That's a really big part of our thing at Kurtz Auto Repair. So, yes, it's right on the our trophies are right up on the wall, and pictures, and it's in our newsletter, and we're very proud of that accomplishment as a team. It wasn't a one-man thing.
Sure.
It took a group of us to put that together, to write that, to my daughter is here today. She was very instrumental, but as much as she'd known her dad growing up, she did like a 2-hour interview for our winning with her dad to try to, what it is? It's trying to get that passion that you have for your business into that entry. And that was a little hard thing to do for us, and to get from the people that we were judging also, I felt. And so yes, it's a huge accomplishment, and just makes our community around us know that we're a solid business and we mean what we say.
I want to come back to you in a couple minutes with a follow-up question, but Larry?
It's so cool to hear my management team, when they interview employees, to brag on us. It's like that. It's brought a pride to the company.
Sure.
I remember when I got the phone call that we were a finalist. It was very exciting, and then to actually be in that room when it's like I met the guys backstage were my competition, and it's like there's no way we're winning this. These guys are awesome. And then they called our name. It's like, oh my God, You know, I started crying because it's just so awesome, and it's our profile picture on our Facebook page, 2016 winner. So,
Terrific.
but we haven't promoted it as much as we should, and I need to. I think it needs to be promoted more. It's in a trophy case in our executive conference room, and we show all of our new employees that. And we don't talk about it as much as we should.
That's your homework after you leave here.
Okay, homework.
Write it down.
Yeah, very beneficial. The application process for probably any awards, but this one in particular makes you dig deeper. And I think it's helped us for future things we've been nominated for since. We really, very much point to the ethics as being a cornerstone for the next.
I'm going to follow up on something that Joe or Kathy that you said a couple minutes ago in terms of now that you're a winner, kind of spotlight's on you, and you've got to continue to behave in the way that won you the award in the first place. So you have kind of that personal responsibility. Maybe speak a little bit about what, I'm assuming it's not changed anything or continue to do what you guys do the right way, but tell me a little bit more about that sense of personal responsibility that now people are watching you and you can't deviate from that. You're kind of a representative of your industry and what the right way is to do it, and how does that kind of impact your daily approach? And maybe it doesn't. Maybe you just continue to do what you do.
No, first thing, I'm a grandma, so that solves that whole issue. Actually, what it did, it made us go back and feel like, okay, we got this far, but there's still an area in front of us to conquer. Being better, there's not an end. It didn't mean we won that we're perfect. We got room to grow still. And so we can maintain that and keep growing in our areas of taking care of all the areas, employees, vendors, community, charities, whatever we're working on. So Amy and I have talked a lot about where we're headed from here and talked to Kurt and our different management team. And it's the constant growing, I think, that is our vision. And whether we ever go for the award again, we ever win it again or not, that was a base mark that we were headed for, and that was our goal. But I don't want to stop there.
Sure.
We want to keep growing. We want to be a little more part of our North Valley community, and people know us and get to know us. And I'm okay if we take over the plaza where we're at, But I want to keep the value that we provide for our customers, no matter how we grow. I don't want the money side of a business, like you said earlier, to be our only goal. Our goal is we take care of our customer problems. He takes care of customer problems. She takes care of customer problems. They come in, they got a bad hairdo, and they need help, or whatever. We're problem solvers in our community, and so I don't want to ever get to where we just rest on our laurels. So I think when you win something like that, we sat back and said, okay, where do we go now? Where do we go from here? It's not just about awards, it's about the responsibility of holding up everything the BBB has taught us through the whole application process. We learned a lot because it really makes you analyze your business, just like Jill said.
Sure. That's a great answer, and that's kind of just a starting point to build on. It's not the end all be all, so that's good to hear. We've got a couple more minutes left, so I just want to ask a couple more questions, unless we have any final things from the audience. Going once, going twice. Let me just ask each panelist, and we've only got a couple minutes, so just maybe kind of a yes or no. Has winning the award impacted your employees? Have you seen a kind of a increase in morale? Have you been able to attract maybe some employees that you wouldn't have attracted otherwise because now they see you as an industry leader?
Yes.
Yes.
We're a small firm. We're up to 10. So as the time comes, we've got a little more, it made us a little more visual in our North Valley community. Right now we're not adding any more, so we'll just have to see how it goes with time.
Sure.
But we're always happy to talk to people because as our industry grows, we are interested.
Sure. Okay.
Yes.
What about your impact in terms of customer relationships? Has it been something that customers have pointed to as saying, hey, I've searched out a firm that can service my needs, whatever they may be. You're obviously in little different fields. And I looked at what you guys accomplished, and I said, that's who I want to do business with as a customer. Have you heard that since winning the award? Has it impacted and helped grown the customer base?
Several times. I posted something, Elaine Cullen, my local BBB ladies somewhere here. She put something up, and I posted on our company Facebook page about the award. And right away, a customer commented, "I need you guys to come out. I want a good company." And that happens quite a bit through the social media.
That's great. That's great. Who else has experienced that type of response?
Well, I was thinking, as far as you said, this application, you had to dig a little deeper than some of the other ones. It was a lot deeper. It was a lot harder, and the BBB Torch Award is the biggest deal. I mean, you can't get a better award than that, I think. And it just causes everybody. Back to the last question, it causes my employees to be intentional about what we do, where before we just kind of did it, now we're intentional about it. So that's changed. But then, customers definitely recognize it. I mean, it's there.
So it sounds like your employees, not just to what we talked about with Kathy, but your employees now feel a sense of responsibility. We have to deliver on the promise now.
Yeah, they know.
That's great. That's great.
This morning, so my favorite little blog is this guy named Dan Rockwell. He does Leadership Freak. You just go on Leadership Freak, I don't know, whatever.com, and sign up with your email. But he sends one every morning, and they're always like really short, which I love, and they're really insightful. And today's message was about internal threats are way more concerning than external issues. So sometimes we'll sit in a meeting and discuss competition or the other 54 beauty schools in the metro area, and our heads spin. But really, I thought today's message was so good because the internal threat is my 25 people making sure that they're, as much as we all are going to take care of our customer, the student, the car that's not working, the air conditioner, et cetera, that really made sense to me. It made me go back to my staff meetings. It makes me want to go back to make sure we've done our one-on-ones. But if the team's working, then they spread that messaging. So anyways, if you like those little messages, Leadership Freak's one of my favorites.
Okay, well, we're about out of time here, so I'm just going to wrap up. It sounds like you've heard some good messages today in terms of how doing business the right way is good for business and strategies to implement that. We've heard some questions and answers in terms of how it's impacted their sense of responsibility, what winning the awards meant for an employee standpoint, a customer standpoint. I think at least one or two of you have said it's the application process, which interestingly we'll be talking about next, so it's a great segue. But there's a lot to it, and the good, nothing is easy, right? So it takes time and effort to apply, but the rewards, it sounds like, have been well worth that. And if nothing else, even if you don't win, it helps you to really get a sense of where do you stand from an ethical perspective on how you do business. So even those who don't win, there's a lot of folks out there who maybe get a chance to take a closer look at what's happening internally and maybe make some changes. And it's not all about just getting the the award at the end of the day. Hopefully you do that, but even the process itself, it sounds like, had you not won, and at least a couple of you I know have applied. You said you applied way back when, 2013?
13 we were finalists.
Finalists. So even when you didn't win, I assume the process was a good process to really give you a sense of what you need to do, maybe areas of improvement. Mm-hmm. So we encourage you to really think hard about just doing it for what value you get in the process. And if you win, all the better. But I think there's a lot to be gained from kind of learning from the panel and talking with them and kind of going through that process. So we hope you learned something today. And again, it is good, doing right is good for business. So hopefully you'll take that message home along with some of the other great words of wisdom here. And with that, I think we're going to take a break. And then we'll come back in
9:35, so
about 15 minutes or so. And then Dory and her team are going to talk about how to go through the application process. Right. And you'll find out kind of some nuts and bolts about how to take your company through that. So we hope you stick with us and listen to part 2. So thanks for coming.
That's deep internal.
with our application strategies, and there's still some stragglers. We can just catch them up coming in. So again, my name is Dory Gosser. So application strategies for Torch Awards for Ethics. We'll go ahead and go over some points on that and actually how you can apply for a Torch Awards, where the link is, and actually nominating. You can nominate yourself. So that's important to know. We do have nomination forms on the tables that you could do. So here, and just turn them into me after, or anyone that you see from the BBB, they'll happily take them. So, also, I do want to mention that those of you who put your card in will be at the end of this drawing for the tickets for the Cardinals game, right, Noelle?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so how to nominate a business for Torch Awards for Ethics. There are eligibility requirements. So they are, you must be in business for at least 3 years. You must have earned an A- or higher rating from the Better Business Bureau. You must have met your financial obligations. You have not been a Torch Award winner in the past 5 years. So there are Torch Award winners that do apply every 5 years, but you cannot, and we know who has won previously, so we can determine that. And you are not a government agency. We don't take applications for that. You must be nominated in order to fill out an application, and you can nominate yourself. So again, that's how you can do so with the forms that are on the tables. Once nominated, what happens here is we receive the nomination, and an email goes directly to you or whoever has been indicated on the nomination form as the contact person. It goes to them, and it tells instructions on how you will fill out an application, and it'll also send you to the link for the application process. So if you would like to nominate a company online, you can go to ethics.arizonabbb.org. And the deadline for nominations is Friday, November 25th, 2016. So some application strategies and tactics, what to expect. So you can go to torchawards.arizonabbb.org to see where the application is. It is live on our website right now. So what you will see when you go to the application page is this in order. There's 11 elements. The first is an introductory page, and basically that's just eligibility and submission requirements. The second part of it is organizational information, so that's address, contact information. New this year, what you can do in this level for organization information, and you'll see this on the application form, there's a box to check that you could go back to your application, which I highly recommend, meaning that you can fill out a certain portion of it, save it, and then go back to it and complete it later, so you don't have to do it all in one shot. And then we have our 6 criteria, and this is really the heart and soul of the application. So I've summarized all of the criteria, but there's really so much more to each of the criteria. I encourage all of you to go online and review the application first, and it is a good idea to, before you start applying, just to absolutely read through the application. You do have to put in your company name before you start doing that, but that's the only thing that's required, and you can actually read through the application before you start answering all the questions. Then number 9 is references. So it is specific on who we ask for references. Also financial integrity, there's some questions regarding that, and bank information, but it's not for any reason other than just for our purposes to have. Again, the information that's on this application is kept to BBB, and it's not viewed by, we don't sell this to the public. This is our information, and we keep it private. And then after you've completed the 10 elements, you're ready to submit. And once you press that button, the actual application goes through, comes to us, and it goes into an area where we keep the applications that are completed with eligible companies, meaning that they've met all the requirements that we spoke of previously, and then we send those to our panel of judges. And our panel of judges actually is not anyone from the Better Business Bureau that's on the panel. It's all a third party. They consist of government agencies. We have an ombudsman on our panel, and some of them will judging, and they're different every year, may include some past winners too. So we have a lot of variety on the judging panel, and again, it's not anyone from the BBB. So one of the important things I asked last year was just to get some judges' feedback on the Torch Awards for ethics, because I do get the question a lot, what could I do better if I didn't win this time? And so instead of answering the question myself, I put it to the judges. And they told us that winning entries have heart and passion. And it's hard to, you know, sometimes relay that without actually having it. They will know, you know, if you are expressing that in your application. It's not something that you can fake. It's something that they're looking for. That's not the normal yes and no questions. And here are the, you know, things to back it up. They want to see that you have passion for ethics in your workplace and how you're actually implementing those procedures. And then there's just information that, believe it or not, the judges, the number one was do not leave any of the questions blank, because each of the criteria, there's a point level of scoring that is associated with each of them. So if you leave it blank, obviously there's a 0 for that particular criteria. There's also a point scale for some of the just basic information like your organizational information, and if that's left empty as well, that could be a 0 and it could affect your final score. So very important to just provide complete information. Some of the other things they mentioned were plenty of relevant attachments to support criteria, and what this means is, for instance, some judges said they may ask for a specific element to support an idea, and you might provide something that's totally, you know, not even related to that subject. So make sure that the attachment fits what they're asking for in the criteria. The other final requirement I just wanted to talk about is the judges, and Kathy's here. She was a judge this last year. We do have an in-person judging day, and the in-person judging is weighted as heavily as the application. And the reason why we do that is because we want to make sure that we're seeing the entire picture of each company that applies. And some of the mistakes that I see, and some of the judges have seen in the application, in the in-person judging process, are that some companies bring maybe a panel of people to speak on their behalf, and you do have a question-answer session with the judges, and sometimes the companies may be confused, like who's going to answer the question, who's going to give the right information. Some people may look over to defer to the other person, and a lot gets lost in translation. So we do ask only 1 or 2 people come to a in-person judging session, but judges recommend overall that 1 person be there, and that 1 person truly understand your company and also understand your application, meaning that they've read the application that you submitted and that they can answer the questions according to what your application says. So are there any questions so far on that? Yes, I see.
You recommend only 1 person come, but if you have different parts of your company that we can't speak on and we know who's supposed to do what part, we communicate that before 2 is cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely, 2 is cool. I would just say that if you have 2 people show up, that make sure that they know, those 2 areas of your company very well and can communicate it if asked, and maybe tell them to direct their focus on the judges and not each other. And also make sure, again, to review the application, just kind of simple stuff like that. Was there another question?
And everyone, just a side note, and if you guys ask questions, can you try to speak up for people that are watching the stream as well?
Okay, sure.
I'll repeat the question too.
Okay, what was my question? Oh, the in-person judging. Is this something that is done at a facility like this, or do they come out to our own company facility? How is that done?
So that's a great question. So the question was, where is the in-person judging held? And the answer to that is the in-person judging is held at our Better Business Bureau campus here. Last year it was held in the Yavapai classroom downstairs, and most likely it will be held here again. It's a full day. We are seeing 15 companies. We have a very tight schedule, and literally to the minute, seconds. I mean, Kathy, you've seen the schedule. It's like there's no room for variation. So if we ask a company to be here at 5:15, please do your best to be here at 5:15. We need you at that time.
It's only finalists, correct?
Yes.
And you sit in front of a row of 10 people, and they put a bright spotlight on you. No, but I would say when I was in that room, it's a two-way. You don't just sit there and answer the questions. I asked, why are you a judge? Why are you here? And got to know those people. And we had a lot of fun back and forth. It was actually, I was nervous when I got here, but then it was fun. It was a blast. And we had free popcorn afterwards.
We do have snacks available after, so if you're hungry. But no, we're not, we're all, here for the right reasons. We're not there to intimidate anyone that's on the panel. We have people that are in place that are there for the purpose of finding out the best, possible companies to go out and tout this award. So, yeah, they're not mean. They're not scary, so don't be afraid. But do come prepared. I will say that. Come prepared. So tips on how to do this. Number 1, save your submission and go back and review. A lot of companies I've seen some really great companies come through that do not make it to the finalist level. Great companies that are winning other awards that don't get through this this application process. And I think that if they had reviewed their application themselves, that may have really, really helped them. Also, develop a task. This is just a suggestion. Think about developing a Torch Awards task force, maybe at your workplace, and that way you get a variety of feedback from staff. So you could go through and actually, create the criteria answers and then pass it out to a team of people and see what they have to think. You might be missing out by just having one person do the whole thing. There might be people on your team or at your workplace that say, hey, we are really great in this area and you overlooked it. So task force is a great way to maybe combat that. Also, have team members proofread your submission. So it's a pretty simple thing, but believe it or not, there's questions that some people overlook that maybe that person can say, hey, go back and answer this completely, because again, point deduction if you don't finish the question. And then also, do you have the materials to support what you're trying to say? Any questions so far? So we did, the panel spoke about some ways that their business can benefit from the Torch Awards for application process, and there are some others. So the 6 criteria that are on the application actually develop strategies for you and programs that may not be in place at your place of business. I know that Kathy, I think, said that you guys had applied and that there weren't some items. It was you, right, Kathy, that when you applied in 2013, the original application, there were some things that they may not have had in place, but they did put those in place the next year, and so they reapplied the following year, and then they ended up winning. So the whole reason behind this application process is not so that the BBB can have an award to give out. It's really to fulfill our mission, which is to help you be better and in turn advance marketplace trust for consumers. So again, we're developing the whole application process around that. It's really ultimately to help you. So I think you'll find that the criteria, some of the things that you're asked for, can really help develop an ethical workplace and an environment in your place of work. Also, finalists and winners receive professional videos produced by BBB for their marketing use, and I'll show you an example of that. And if you're a winner or a finalist, you do have the ability to showcase your distinction. So we put up some of the logos that are here. There are very strict advertising rules about these distinctions, but you're given all of that information as part of the process. There's also an opportunity to apply for a BBB International Torch Awards for Ethics, and that's our national Torch Awards for Ethics program. That means you're competing with all of the Torch Awards for Ethics winners throughout the country. So that is really the ultimate distinction that you've been brought forth and compared to some of the other companies throughout the company, or the country rather, and that you are outstanding in comparison. So
You guys make that application.
yes. So we may ask you for more questions. Like, for instance, our BBB is a year behind in the whole process, and the reason why is because we hold our Torch Awards for Ethics celebration in the spring, and most BBBs do it in the fall. So we are actually celebrating 2015 winners this year. So next year we will send applications for our this last spring, 2016 winners. So they would actually go to the 2017 luncheon.
I've been watching that website.
Yeah.
In fact, they're not even announcing we are.
So there we go. Right. Okay. Yeah. So it is a little off. Yes, Noel.
I think it's also good to note that we have had a number of our local Ethics Awards Torch Awards winners actually go on to the international and win.
They do.
So it's so cool when that happens. I mean, at least 5, probably more than that have
Yes.
Yeah.
As I understand, the last submission was the most applications they've ever had. We actually did not have a winner this last submission, but we are hopeful for next year, and we have some great companies all the way through. So we do submit the application on your behalf, and if we need anything from you along in the process, we will ask. So here is an example of a video, one of our panelists. Hopefully I can do this.
I think, hold on.
Yeah.
I think I got it.
Thanks, Jake. Oh no.
I'm not sure why the sound isn't on.
Is that up? That little white.
Ooh.
No.
It says mute on the. Oh.
Try
Okay, hold on.
Apologies. Technical difficulties. So that really is a good example of what a Torch Awards for Ethics video is that we produce actually in-house here by yours truly, Jake. He's a fantastic videographer, and what we do and put together is really wonderful for your business. Jake actually visits the site. I mean, obviously you look and see that it's amazing to me. You can eat off that floor at twice-speed transmission. It seems like from the video. But Jake goes out there and really gets a feel for your business and spends time with you and takes some great footage and then comes back and develops the videos as a result. So in conclusion, look for a follow-up email that will also include a survey about your experience today. And then also nominate a company today, either yourself or maybe an outstanding company that you know, and we will gladly go ahead and take that information and send out an email if they qualify. So I want to thank you all. Yes?
And when do the award finalists select?
So the award,
Submit now, when does it?
Right. So the deadline for the applications is in December. It's the third week in December. That's our soft deadline. Sometimes we're a little flexible with it, but that's really the deadline. Our finalists are chosen by February, so like mid-February. So you'll pretty much know by that time one way or the other.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? Yes.
How many people would you say submit or apply for it?
Well, let's see, it varies every year. At this time, we have about 52 nominations, and we haven't really advertised the process yet. So we're expecting a lot more. Last year, we had actually 35 submissions, application submissions that were eligible, that meet the eligibility requirements. So there were 35 that went to the judging panel. Yes.
And just one winner each year out of it, or do you go by different size companies?
It's based on size, so there's 5 different categories of size, from small to largest. And the actual finalists, there are 15 finalists. So of those 15, there's 3 in each category, and 1 winner is selected in each category. And then showcased at our Torch Awards for Ethics, you know, per the video, all of it. So 5 winners. Yeah. Any other questions? These are all great questions. Well, if you have some that come to mind, you can always contact me. If you call BBB, I can send my contact information in the follow-up email so you have it. Don't hesitate to ask me any question. Believe me, I've been asked any and all of it. So no question is not, I'm not going to, you know, not answer it. I'd love to hear from you. So make sure that you give me a call if you have a question, and I'll make sure to include my information in the survey and follow-up email. Thank you all so much for coming today. It's been an exciting day for all of us. Thanks to the panelists and our facilitator, and have a great rest of the week and a good weekend.
Gary, do we want to go for the Cardinals ticket?
Oh, yes, and I'm drawing for the Cardinals ticket right now. So actually, Brian, would you select? Yes. I don't think they need to be present.